Tennessee was historic on Saturday. Sure, it was Kent State, but a lot of things that were good. We're going to look back on Tennessee's 71-0 win over the Golden Flashes that did anything but flash here on a Monday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols, and I am Eric Cain. Appreciate you guys for making us a part of your morning routine. I want to give a big shout out to our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. Go to 5hourenergy.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. We got a loaded show to get into today. We've got Cainer grades and some game balls I'll give away in segment number 3. Courtesy of the Vol Radio Network, scoring plays in the summary in segment 2. And then my big 3 from Tennessee's win over Kent State here in segment number 1. Don't forget Twitter Tuesday. X Tuesday is coming up. I'll never get used to that. It's coming up on tomorrow's show. Your mailbag questions will be answered. So send in your questions at _Cainer at Locked On Vols. And on Locked On Vols on the Instagram account as well, plus YouTube as well. You can put in your questions there on YouTube, and I'll try my best to find them and answer them on tomorrow's show. Big game coming up this week, Tennessee at Oklahoma. We got a lot to discuss in terms of the Vols, the Sooners, Heupel, Stoops, Venables, so much to get into throughout the week. But we're going to spend this time to look back on what was a truly historic game for Tennessee on Saturday. Yes, I understand. And I told you this all last week, okay? People are going to be jumping to the comments from opposing fan bases that didn't listen to a minute of what I said last week. This was a horrible football team. Kent State was atrocious, and best of luck. I hope they win every game the rest of the way. I mean, I wish no ill will on them, and it seems like that head coach and the captains of that football team that said, hey, we're not going to have a running clock in the second half. We're not going to shorten the length of the quarters just because we're getting blown out. I mean, I respect the heck out of that. I hope they win every game the rest of the way. They won't. But I hope they do. I wish nothing but success on them. But that was a really, really bad football team, and we knew it. We absolutely knew it. So for Tennessee, yeah, it's the caveat, but it was Chattanooga, but it's Kent State. I understand all that. I mean, Tennessee can only play what's in front of them, okay? And Tennessee's passed every test it's had so far, really only one test being NC State, with absolute flying colors. But we know it's about to get real this week. Oklahoma. Level of competition is going to rise. It's taken a little while for Oklahoma to figure it out. Sure, we'll dive into the offense and Jackson Arnold and the retooled offensive line, the weapons, the defense that I think is really good against the run. We'll dive into all that. We'll dive into the mediocre performance against Houston 2 weeks ago, how they couldn't put away Tulane. We'll dive into all that, I promise. But we know it's going to be a hostile environment because it's a road game. We know that the level of competition is going to step up, and we know that every national talking head is going to try to make this Heupel revenge game. So it's an important week for him as well to keep the main thing, and that's the Tennessee Volunteers, and it's one game at a time. So yeah, we'll get into all that, but from this football game, it was historic. Tennessee in the modern era scored the most points it's ever scored in program history. That's 71 points, outdoing Louisiana Monroe game in 2000 where Tennessee scored 70. So sure, Tennessee has technically scored more points in its program history than that. In fact, I believe this is the 10th highest point total in program history, but when you break it down into eras, and I'm not going to pretend to know what qualifies as one era to the next, this is the modern era, this is the most. It was a new total offense season high, program high for the University of Tennessee, racking up 756 yards of total offense, 740 yards of total offense. That is a new program record. 4 of the top 5 offensive productions in program history have come in the last 3 years and change, with Josh Heupel being Tennessee's head coach. Tennessee ran for 456 yards. 456 yards, which is incredible. That is the 5th highest rushing total in program history. Tennessee had 3 players. I'm going to call it 3 players. Technically, it's 2. I'm going to give it to Peyton Lewis. I'm going to give him 1 more yard. They probably had a bad spot at some point in that football game when he was in. 3 players that surpassed the century mark in terms of rushing. Dylan Sampson, 4 touchdowns, 101 yards on 13 carries. DeSean Bishop, who led the way with 7 carries, a couple of long scampers, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Peyton Lewis, 99 yards on 10 carries, averaging 9.9 yards per carry. And yes, we're going to believe here that he got a bad spot on one of those, so he should have 100. 17 plays of 10-plus yards on the ground. Of those 17 explosive plays on the ground, where Tennessee ran for 10-plus plays on running plays, they accumulated 352 of Tennessee's 456 yards rushing in the ball game. It's really, really good. Back to the historic records, if you will. 71, the most points in modern era for Tennessee. Tennessee, in terms of the half, Tennessee scored 65 points in the first half. That's the most in any half of play, surpassing 52 that was put on the scoreboard against UT Martin back in 2022. The 37 first quarter points are the most points scored in any quarter in UT history, besting the 35 points that were put up on Arkansas back in 2000. Modern era records date back to 1937 in the Tennessee record books. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is the 11th time that Tennessee has actually scored 70 or more points, but the first time since 1929 when they hung 73 on the absolute powerhouse. Listen to me right here, okay? The powerhouse juggernaut program of Carson Newman, okay? Back in 1929. All right, we're going to leave it at that. Carson Newman's a juggernaut. Also, Carson Newman didn't have the split back veer figured out back in 1929. That's why Tennessee was able to score 73 on him. 71 points, ranks 10th all-time in program history, regardless of era, but this is the most in the modern era. First time since September the 12th, 2015, that a team from the SEC has scored 70-plus points against an FBS opponent. Sure, Ole Miss had 76, but it was Furman a couple weeks ago that Ole Miss did that. This is the first time an SEC team has scored 70-plus on an FBS opponent since 2015. Again, when I believe it was Ole Miss that did it in that game as well, but nonetheless, 10th time in program history, 70-plus points. First time since Saturday that was accomplished since 1937 in the modern era. 740 yards total offense. Again, that is a new program record, amassing 724 total yards of offense that was set back in Missouri in 2021. It's the second time in 3 games that beginning this year in 2024 that Tennessee has amassed over 700 yards of total offense. The program had previously only accomplished that feat twice all time in program history. So, defensively as well, this is now 4 straight games dating back to the Citrus Bowl, really dating back to Vanderbilt's game in 2023 last season. That's the last time an opposing offense scored a touchdown on Tennessee. Tennessee blanked Iowa in the Citrus Bowl. Tennessee made quick work of UTC in the season opener. Tennessee demolished NC State last week, and of course Tennessee did what it did against Kent State on Saturday. None of those teams scored an offensive touchdown. That is 4 straight games Tennessee has not allowed an offensive touchdown, 16 straight quarters. It is the longest such streak in Tennessee history, dating back to 1938 to 1939, when in that 1939 season, Tennessee was unscored on, and they held 15 consecutive opponents off the scoreboard in terms of a touchdown. Tennessee's off to a historic pace this year on both sides of the football, but we know that it's going to get harder this week, especially on the road. So the offense looked great. The defense continues to look great. I like that I saw Mike Matthews come out of the show a little bit, injured, plagued a little bit, made his collegiate debut, and Tennessee made it a point to get him involved in early. He returned to kickoff 32 yards up to near field. That looked good. Then on the second play of that offensive possession, they went straight to him. Later in the game, really in the second quarter, it was Gas and Moore that threw it up to him in the end zone. He goes up and makes that really, really nice catch. Welcome to the party, Mike Matthews. I think he's going to help Tennessee this year, and that just kind of goes on to saying, well, who were the 3 starters at wide receiver? I think you have 2, right? Brew, McCoy, and Squirrel White are going to be out there. But just as you saw the other day, it was Chaz Nimrod that started on the outside. Chaz Nimrod that slid down and played the slot a little bit. Chris Brazzell that went in a couple of series. It wasn't until the 3rd or 4th offensive series you saw Dante Thornton, then Caleb Webb, then Mike Matthews. I mean, Tennessee's got so many options out there. So many different options. And for those of you guys asking about James Pierce, I hear you. All the offseason talk, Oklahoma's podcast here on Locked On, a lot of the Oklahoma media are probably going to be looking at James Pierce saying, well, he hadn't done anything this year, and statistically, they're right. But I do think a couple of times against Kent State, he got held so much. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but he got held so much when he was about to bring the quarterback down. And one time that the left tackle actually got called, flagged for it. He had 3 hurries in that football game the other day. He's impacting the quarterback, even though it's not showing up on the stat sheet. I'll continue to say this. Nothing's wrong with him. I'm sure he's frustrated, but stats are going to come. Stats are going to come for a guy like James Pierce when he's on the football field against SEC competition, trying to go and make plays on 3rd down specifically. So Again, I thought the run game was phenomenal. I don't care who you're playing. You rush for nearly 500 yards. That's impressive. I don't care who you're playing. You accumulate 740 yards of total offense. That's impressive. I don't care who you're playing. You score 71 points. That's impressive. I don't care who you're playing. You don't allow a single point in the football game. That is super, super impressive. So hats off to Tennessee. Tennessee's doing exactly what Tennessee's supposed to do, making light work of a really, really bad team. So that's kind of what I saw on Saturday. Courtesy of the Vol Radio Network, we will hear what it sounded like in the Vol Radio Network airwaves, scoring plays and game summary. That is coming up next as we continue on here with a Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. All right, I want to tell you about our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. Man, I tell you what, Sundays are busy days. Mondays are busy days. I've got so much work to do that I've got to have a 5 Hour Energy shot to keep me motivated and keep me focused on the task at hand. I can grab a 5 Hour Energy shot to stay alert, to watch all of my favorite games as well. On Sunday, I'm working. I'm trying to watch the Titans. I know, right? I mean, I don't know why I dig myself that grave. Trying to watch NFL Sunday all afternoon yesterday, and I had to have a 5 Hour Energy to stay focused and stay up late to watch Sunday Night Football as well. 5 Hour Energy shots can help you on your weekends and your football watching ventures as well. Go to 5hourenergy.com, and I'll give you that promo code here in a moment. But you can build your own 12-pack, build your own 24-pack. Check out all these flavors like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and so much more. Zero sugar, convenient portable size. It's the perfect pick-me-up to get you through your day. So again, that's 5hourenergy.com. Here's that promo code LOCKEDONCFB. That's at the number 5hourenergy.com. Promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid through September 30th and on one order and cannot be used on other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and put in that promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE to get started and take advantage of 5 Hour Energy. All right, guys, welcome back into your Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Had to think about what day of the week it is, but it's a Monday edition of Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Cain. I can't thank you enough for joining us here, recapping, reflecting, reacting to everything that was Tennessee's historic 71-0 win over Kent State. It's historic technically because Tennessee broke records. Understanding that Kent State is not a very good opponent, but you can only play what's in front of you. And Tennessee did that in a big way. And, of course, everybody around the country is looking forward to Tennessee going to Oklahoma this week. It should be a really, really good showcase. But before we get into Oklahoma on tomorrow's show and all that, let's go back and listen to how it sounded on the Vol Radio Network. Tennessee, of course, makes a stop defensively, forces a punt, and then Tennessee takes over, marches down the field, 7 plays, 73 yards, and it's Dylan Sampson that finds the end zone for the first of his 4 touchdowns that gets Tennessee on the board at the 11:32 mark of the first quarter.
Now they're going to hand to Sampson, breaks a tackle to the 10, to the 5, to the checkerboards, touchdown. Dylan Sampson, 22 yards over left tackle. Again, like he always does, he broke a tackle at the line of scrimmage and then sprinted into the end zone for a touchdown, and Tennessee jumps out early, 6-0 on Kent State.
So good after first contact, that being Dylan Sampson, man. He does not go down after first contact, and that, of course, was Bob Kessling. Burt Bertelkamp. I do that every single week. It's Pat Ryan and Brent Hubbs, of course, on the Vol Radio Network. I have written permission to play these audio clips here on Locked On Vols. That's how it kind of started. Tennessee got the football back to Kent State on the kickoff, and defensively, thanks to one of many early mistakes on third downs, comes a safety for the Tennessee defense as the Volunteers go up 9-0.
At the 25-yard line in Kent State territory. Trying to change the play. Good luck with this crowd. Snap goes over the head of the quarterback, rolling down toward the end zone. They're fighting for it. It's loose. Who's got it? Who's got it? They're still looking. And here's the signal from the official.
State covered ball in the end zone, results in a safety.
Safety. It's going to be a safety. Ty Thomas got back there and apparently recovered it. There were a bunch of orange shirts back there in the end zone. That ball went sailing.
So again, it was Tennessee points either way, whether Tennessee jumped on it. I thought James Pierce was in really good position to jump on that football initially, or if Kent State recovered it, and of course it was a safety. So it was either going to be 6 points or 2 points to Tennessee. Tennessee will take those 2 points, goes up 9-0. So Tennessee gets the football back. Remember, safety rules. Tennessee gets the football back, marches down the field, 48 yards on 7 plays, and Dylan Sampson cashes in for another touchdown, his second of the day, and this came on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line after Tennessee was previously stuffed on 3 straight plays.
Tennessee will send 2 wideouts far to the right, the ball on the left hash mark. driving from right to left. Iamaleava hands off to his tailback. Sampson just gets across the line into the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee. Sampson had to fight to get across the goal line, but he did from 1 yard out. And Tennessee has scored again and now leads Kent State 15-0.
Yeah, and I want to say that Tennessee went to 12 personnel. I mean, it's evident that 12 personnel is going to be something Tennessee uses in short yardage situations. And I believe they had, as Bob said, 2 wideouts to the right. I think they had a tight end and an H-back over here to the left. So Tennessee led at that point in time by a score of 16-0. Tennessee kicks the football back to Kent State. Nothing doing, of course. Tennessee's next possession. Again, it was 2 plays where Tennessee didn't get much going on at all. In fact, Tennessee lost 2 yards. It was 3rd and 12, and this is the one highlight from Nico, really, and that doesn't mean Nico played bad or poorly, okay? It just means Tennessee didn't need to throw the ball an awful lot. Nico Iamaleava's touchdown pass, 53 yards to Chris Brazzell, the first of his Tennessee career.
Tennessee 3 wideouts to the right, 1 to the left. Nico back to throw, sets up, looks, guns it, long, right sideline, right on target. Touchdown, Tennessee! What a throw! What a throw! As Chris Brazzell caught it right in stride, streaking down the right sideline, good for 47 yards.
What a throw's right, as Bob Kesling, courtesy of the Vol Radio Network, said right there. Goodness gracious, I tell you what, that throw was gorgeous, right on the money. Pretty little rainbow throw there into the breadbasket of Chris Brazzell, who darted into the end zone, and Tennessee led at that point by a score of 23-0. So Tennessee gets the football back again just a couple minutes later, took 1 play, and Carnes' own DeSean Bishop finds the end zone from 53 yards out.
Nico hands off tailback, right side, 50, 40, down to the 30, makes a nice
what a move.
to the middle, to the 10, to the 5, crank up Rocky Top, 53 yards, DeSean Bishop. What a move he made at about the 20 as he was going down the sideline and cut it quickly to the inside and then sprinted into the checkerboards in the north end zone. Special run by DeSean Bishop.
Yeah, DeSean Bishop's got a little bit of wiggle right there. You heard Pat Ryan say, "Oh, what a move!" You remember Jabari Small at the second or third layer sometimes put a little shimmy on the defensive back. That's what DeSean did on that play, and he was off to the races. So back-to-back 53-yard touchdown plays. There's another 53-yard reception later on this football game. We'll get to that here in a moment, but Tennessee was off and running. Tennessee would score another time right before the horn sounded for the end of the first quarter. It was Dylan Sampson, his 3rd rushing touchdown of the day, capping an 8-play, 48-yard drive that put the Volunteers up 37-0.
Nico waits for the snap, gets it, gives to his tailback, and he sprints into the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee! 2-yard run by Dylan Sampson as he runs right through Kent State's defense. And Tennessee, after the onside kick, marches down the field to score. And this one is a rout in the first quarter as Tennessee now leads Kent State 36-0.
So Tennessee led 37-0 at the end of the first quarter, and everybody that took the over 62.5, everybody that took Tennessee in the points was feeling really good at that point in time. So you go to the second quarter, and it's DeSean Bishop again. This time it wasn't just 1 play. It was you needed 4 plays to get to the end zone, 56 yards. But DeSean Bishop again, a lengthy run here. He goes 47 yards to pay dirt. His 2nd rushing touchdown of the day put him over 100 yards rushing. DeSean Bishop finds the end zone as Tennessee goes up 44-0.
First down with that 2 tight end set, both in wing formations. Handoff. Tailback, that's going to be a first down and more. To the 30, to the 20, it's a sprint. To the 10, to the checkerboards. Touchdown, Tennessee! 47 yards. DeSean Bishop right up the middle, made 1 great cut in the secondary, and then it was just a sprint to the end zone, and he beat all the golden flashes there as Tennessee scores again to make it 43-0.
DeSean Bishop just continues to take advantage of his opportunities. If you didn't hear me on the post-game show, after the game on Saturday, early Sunday morning, he's earned a role in this offense, okay? And I think Cam Seldon's going to be a stud. I think Cam Seldon's going to be really good in this offense, but he's missed some time, and it's unfortunate. And it's not like it's his fault, but it's not DeSean Bishop's fault that all he does is perform when given the opportunity. Now, Sure, we'll see what it looks like against Oklahoma and Florida and Alabama and Georgia and all that. I hear you, but DeSean Bishop deserves to get touches in this offense to give a spell to Dylan Sampson, and I'm just so happy he's producing. I really, really am. Also on that, you heard the 12 personnel. They do 12 personnel in a couple different ways. They'll go 2 wides to one side and then a tight end on the line and then a tight end behind him as an H. Okay, and then also sometimes they'll go wide out to the left, wide out to the right, tailback in the backfield. They'll go 2 tight ends and kind of H-back formations off the tackle's butt. And I went back and listened to the when I was doing my rewatch of the game broadcast. I think Jordan Rogers called them the sniffers, and you can use your imagination why that's the term there. But that's kind of how they're working their 12 personnel, and the tight ends did a great job blocking in those personnel options really all game long. So Tennessee led 44-0. Tennessee jumps on again just moments later and marches down the field 54 yards on 7 plays. It's the 4th and final touchdown of the day for Dylan Sampson, this time from 14 yards out. Tennessee goes up 51-0.
3rd down and 3 at the 14. Handoff tailback again to the 5, to the checkerboards. Touchdown right up the middle again. Dylan Sampson scores yet another touchdown. This one from 14 yards out. Sampson have a night. He's over 100 yards rushing, and he's got yet another touchdown.
9 touchdowns on the season so far for Dylan Sampson, halfway to the single-season record for touchdowns for Tennessee. He's leading the SEC by 3 touchdowns in total touchdowns. He's second in all-purpose yards, second in rushing. And again, remember, much like Nico Iamaleava, of the possible, what is it, how many games? 3, 4, 12 quarters? They played like, what, 7? 7 quarters maybe? Tennessee's being efficient. Speaking of efficient, you had backup quarterback Gaston Moore come in, threw 4 passes, 2 of which went all 4 completed, 2 of which went to the end zone for Tennessee touchdowns. This one comes off Miles Kitselman on a play-action fake. Gaston Moore capping a 90-yard, 6-play drive, 15-yard pass from Gaston Moore to Miles Kitselman. Miles Kitselman now another touchdown reception here with the Tennessee Volunteers. What a story he is.
Good fake. Gaston Moore, play fake, right down the middle. Touchdown, Tennessee. Miles Kitselman right down the middle. Perfect play fake. That froze the safety, and Kitselman ran right by him into the south end zone for a touchdown.
And then, as I mentioned in segment number 1, Mike Matthews, they got him involved on that one series later on in the second quarter. And this was actually the final touchdown scored of the day because Tennessee, of course, was continuing to empty the bench and was continuing to take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Because Tennessee was up 65-0 after this touchdown with 19 seconds left in the second quarter. Mike Matthews, 18-yard touchdown pass, goes up and gets it from Gaston Moore, who threw it. And here's how it sounded on the Ball Radio Network.
2nd down and 9. Tennessee leading 58-0. Gaston Moore back to throw. They're blitzing him. He fires end zone pass.
Wow!
What a catch! Touchdown, Tennessee! And that's Mike Matthews, the freshman. He goes up high in the end zone, got hit when the ball got there, but he was able to hang on for a brilliant 19-yard touchdown grab, and Tennessee scores with 19 seconds to go on the clock, and the Volunteers now lead 64-0. What an athletic catch, and what a good throw, Gaston Moore to Mike Matthews.
5-star freshman got a 5-star reaction there from Bob Kessling and Pat Ryan of the Vol Radio Network. Appreciates the Vol Radio Network allowing me to run these scoring plays and listen to those scoring plays and so much more every Saturday whenever you're watching the game. Sync up the radio. It's kind of what I did as a kid before I started covering games. Tennessee, of course, added 6 more points the rest of the way to go over 70. 71 points exact. Max Gilbert a pair of field goals, 36 yards in the third quarter, make it 68-0. Gilbert's a 21-yard field goal in the fourth quarter to go up 71-0. Max Gilbert now is 7 for 8 in field goal tries and opportunities on the season so far. So congrats to him. Tennessee wins 71-0 over Kent State. And we'll hand out some game balls. We'll go over some Cainer grades and so much more as we continue on here with this Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Go ahead and stay tuned. I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. It is America's #1 sportsbook. You've heard us talk about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. And we got something a little different for you right now through September 22nd. Okay, just a couple more days left to take advantage. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Tickets from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with your YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is Google Count, the current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Guys, I told you I work all day Sunday, but also have NFL Sunday tickets up on the TV while I'm watching, and I took advantage of that deal over at FanDuel Sportsbook and YouTube TV, and I'm sitting pretty on Sundays, and you can as well. Plus, bring it back to the college realm, Tennessee, a 7.5-point favorite on the road at Oklahoma this week with that total sitting at 58.5. Get your play in early because we'll see if that line moves. It's already moved a ton. Of course, in May it opened up as I think Oklahoma was a 6.5-point favorite. Before the kickoff with NC State in week 2, I believe Oklahoma was a 2.5-point favorite. Heading into last week's game against Kent State, Tennessee was actually a 2.5-point favorite, and now that line has jumped up to 7.5 in favor of Tennessee. So if you haven't already, go ahead and lock in that play over at FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook, it's America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook, it's where you can make every moment more over at FanDuel. All right, got a final segment left here of this Monday edition of Locked On Vols. I tried to say Tuesday. I tried to say Sunday. It is Monday, okay? It is Mondays. You got a case of the Mondays. Actually, I don't. I'm pumped up about this week going to Oklahoma, seeing that game in Norman. I'm excited. It's a good college football venue. I'm excited to see how Tennessee performs. I'm in a hostile environment, all that and more. So I hope you guys are having a great Monday as well. Go ahead and send in those Twitter Tuesday questions for your mailbag at _Cainer at Locked On Vols on YouTube. Wherever you want to send in those questions, I will bookmark them and I'll do my best to read them and answer them on tomorrow's show. You everydayers, when you get to take over the show, that happens tomorrow. All right, so quickly here as we end our Monday show. Again, it was 71-0. I'm not going to bore you with a ton of stats, but I'm just going to go over some that are just flat out incredible. Tennessee, 740 yards of total offense. That is a school record. Okay, Kent State had 112 yards of total offense. 112 yards of total offense in 4 quarters of football. Again, I don't care who you are. That's really impressive from a defense. Tennessee had 284 yards passing, did not need to throw the football. Tennessee could have run the football every single play of the football games with its backups and won the game considerably. That's just kind of the way this game was. Still, Kent State only threw it for 58 yards in this football game. That's impressive. Tennessee ran for 456 yards on the ground. Again, that's the 5th most in program history. Kent State ran for 54 yards overall in the football game. A couple of bad snaps there in 3rd down early in the first quarter by a true freshman center really negated those total yardage early in the game, especially the rushing yardage. They actually ran for, I believe, 115 all told, but all those negative yards from the bad snaps really kind of put a damper on Kent State. But still, that's how it checks out in the book. And credit, one of those bad snaps is because Elijah Simmons was lined up over the true freshman center. And if I was a true freshman center in Neyland Stadium and Elijah Simmons was lined up ahead of me in a zero tech, I'd probably do the same thing. I'm not going to lie to you. Tennessee averaged 8.3 yards per carry, while Kent State averaged 1.7 yards per carry. Goodness gracious. Tennessee actually won the time of possession in this football game, possessed it for 31 minutes and 45 seconds, whereas Kent State 28 minutes and 15 seconds. Hard to do that with tempo. Of course, Tennessee slowed it down a little bit, especially in the second half. Tennessee was 9 of 15 on 3rd downs. Kent State was 2 of 12. Tennessee was 3 of 4 on 4th downs. Tennessee was 7 of 8 in the red zone with 5 touchdowns, 2 field goals. I believe they had a turnover on downs late in the football game when they were in the red zone. I can't remember. I didn't see the ending of the football game. I was in the elevator. Maybe they took a knee or something. But nonetheless, that's kind of how that was for Tennessee. A lot of people have asked me about the onside kick. I went back and actually somebody, my buddy, shout out Oz, sent it to me during the game. Cole Kublik did a sideline report, and he said that he talked with Mike Eckler pregame, and they said, hey, this is something we're going to try at some point. We're looking around the 3rd or 4th kickoff of the game. This is what we want to try. It's a look that we saw on film. We can take advantage of it also. I mean, Eckler didn't say this, but I mean, it's common sense. It's something else for Oklahoma to prepare for. So a lot of people are saying, oh, sore losers, can't believe they did that. And I hear you. And I haven't seen a whole lot of that from opposing fan bases or even Tennessee's fan base. But you're paying $1.6 million to come here and get your butt whooped. So, Tennessee can do whatever it wants to in terms of working on stuff to try to prepare themselves for next week. I mean, that's why Tennessee went 4 wide a couple of times with Mike Matthews. That's why Tennessee worked on a lot of the 11 personnel, but, twins on each side. That's why Tennessee worked on some 12 personnel. Tennessee used this as a scrimmage, and, might as well scrimmage doing an onside kick. just to stay ready for, something you might need at Oklahoma. All right, quarterback's going to get a B+ in this game. Nico, I thought, had some really good throws. Also thought had a couple of throws that were just kind of Gaston Moore looked good. Overall, I thought Jake Merklinger looked good. Quarterback's going to B+. Hard to find something to negate, to complain about. Nico ran the ball well. Nico ran too much in this football game, I'll tell you that. But overall, good quarterback play, gets a B+ as we shift into Cain grades. Running backs gets an A+. I mean, you ran for 740 yards. You ran for 456 yards. That is putting them up, putting them down. That's pretty daggone good. Running backs, and again, 1 yard shy of 3 Tennessee Volunteers rushing for over 100 yards. I was loving what I saw from Peyton Lewis and DeSean Bishop in that game. And, of course, Dylan Sampson. Tight ends get an A. Miles Kitselman another touchdown. They block so well in that 12 personnel. Tennessee's ability to block. I think Holton Stays had a good game as well. Tight ends get an A. Wide receivers, again, passing game was not really a focal point in this football game, but look at how many people caught a pass for Tennessee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Tennessee had 11 pass catchers in this football game. Leading receiver had 64 yards. Nobody had more than 2 receptions. Job well done in a game like this. Mission accomplished. Offensive line, A+, A+, A+. 740 yards is a new program record. A+, A+, A+ for all them big hog mollies up front. And defensively, it was the most boring game defensively for a game where they dominated. Tennessee had no sacks, had 2 TFLs, okay? Tennessee created no turnovers, but they simply dominated. Again, it really was a David versus Goliath situation in a game like this. And we can have the conversation another day if Tennessee or any team in that matter should schedule games like this in the era of the 12-team college football playoff. That is a great conversation. We can't have it right now. But this situation was a David versus Goliath situation. I mean, it was. Point blank, and Tennessee did exactly what it was supposed to. I thought Tennessee's linebackers played well. I thought Tennessee's defensive line played well. I thought Tennessee's secondary played well. Will Brooks had one of the 2 TFLs on the game. Everybody on defense gets an A+. Everybody on defense gets an A+. They will get tested for sure. They will hit some adversity this weekend against Oklahoma. Much more than what we thought was coming against NC State. But for now, the entire defense gets an A+. Special teams gets a B only because a couple penalties. Got to get rid of them penalties on special teams, guys. Come on now. But 2 field goals, had a bunch of kicks through the end zone. But Edwin Spillman had a hold on one return, and Tuberville kicked one out of bounds. It was the first kickoff of the game, actually. So because of those penalties, Tennessee special team gets a B. But the coaching staff gets an A+ because you did not leave in your starters too long. Everybody played. Tennessee worked on Tennessee. Tennessee worked on things that needed to work on. Coaching staff gets an A+. Game balls, number 1, goes to the entire offensive line. 740 yards of total offense. That is a new program record. Don't care who you're playing. Hats off to you guys. Peyton Lewis, DeSean Bishop get a game ball. I got a lot of game balls here I'm going to give out. Sue me, right? It's my podcast. Dylan Sampson gets a game ball because of the 4 touchdowns. Mike Matthews gets a game ball because of what he did. I thought was really, really impressive. And I guess I'll go Tim Banks gets a game ball because I don't know who I should give a game ball to defensively because all they did was just go and see the ball and make a tackle. And that's really all they did. They were good on 3rd down. Thought Jamal McCoy once again looks good. Thought the linebackers are flying around everywhere. Again, it was the most boring game ever to be so dominant defensively. It really, really was. I'll end on this. A lot of people were asking about Jacoby Thomas. If you want to ask me about this in the mailbag, please do submit the question. What are my thoughts on the targeting? I have many thoughts on that. Probably not ones that you will agree with, but I would love to get into that maybe on tomorrow's show. Because he was ejected in the second quarter to 2-quarter suspension, he served it in the second half. He'll be ready to go for Tennessee at Oklahoma, and we'll be ready to go for Tennessee at Oklahoma. That is coming up Saturday. We'll look forward to that game all week long. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. Let me know if your questions, comments, concerns for the mailbag edition of the show. That is coming up tomorrow right here on Locked On Vols. Tell your friends. Subscribe to the show. Subscribe on Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. All that and more. Appreciate you guys, as always. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.